Hello, everyone. Today I wanted to talk a little bit about probiotics. One of our viewers asked about probiotics, and the microbiome is something I'm just actually very interested in and have been reading about for years. And I think it's a fascinating subject. And probiotics are something that a lot of people take, and people want to be healthy, and you can tell there's a big market for it. I just searched Amazon for probiotics. There's over 3,000 results, and like Amazon has their own brand of probiotics here. Um, so once Amazon starts making their own brand, it's like definitely a thing. So what are probiotics? Like let's click on this and see what shows up here. Um, e- 8 strains of probiotic, 5 billion colony forming units. Okay, if you look at this, okay, here we are. Um, let's look at this. The proprietary probiotic blend. I mean, this is going to be too small if you're watching this on a phone, but if you're on a computer, maybe you can read it. But it's Lactobacillus acidophilus, Bifidobacterium, more Lactobacillus. So a couple of Lactobacillus and Bifidobacterium species. Okay, so here's the here's the problem, and here's some issues to think about with probiotics. One, we know, so the reason that probiotics are very important is because we know that your gut microbiome is very important for your health. There was a thought process that all bacteria and all germs were bad for you, and we should eradicate them, and we should be as clean as possible. And definitely sanitation is a good thing. But we've come to realize that the composition of our gut microbiome is extremely important for our health, has a lot to do with your psychiatric health, has a lot of association with depression, anxiety, as well as neurodegenerative diseases like Alzheimer's and Parkinson's and things like that. And then obviously bowel conditions um, are associated with the gut microbiome. And so they're just like it affects our immune system, our thought processes, all kinds of stuff. So, obesity and even things like diabetes. So we know that a healthy microbiome is very important. So people are like, well, if a healthy microbiome is important, maybe we should take probiotics to improve our microbiome. And there is lots of research showing that if your microbiome is deranged, then probiotics can be helpful. What's not clear is taking probiotics helpful if you're an otherwise pretty healthy person? Like, is it a way to optimize your health? And there's a lot of reasons to believe that probably not. It probably doesn't help um, because taking probiotics does not lead to any long-term changes in your gut microbiome. And here's why. Um, Here's the first study that I want to look at. This is a study from Cell in 2019, and it says extensive unexplored human microbiome diversity revealed by over 150,000 genomes from metagenomics spanning age, geography, and lifestyle. So what they did is they did next generation sequencing and a genomic survey of the gut microbiome. And what they found out is there are thousands, see, we thus identify thousands of microbial genomes from yet to be named species. They've identified thousands of bacteria that we don't even know what they are. So there are these bacteria that we have never identified that are in our microbiome. You cannot reconstitute what you don't know. And also, a lot of uh, these bacteria that live in our gut, we can't culture them. We can't grow them. They only grow in our gut. It takes a very specific environment and lots of other microorganisms to create a ecological niche that they can live in. And so you can't put those in a probiotic pill. And so like taking a pill that has like 5 species of lactobacillus and bifidobacterium isn't going to reconstitute a healthy microbiome. Okay, so that's one. Number two is the thing that affects your microbiome more than taking probiotics is your diet, because your microbiome basically is dependent on the food you eat to live. So if you eat a certain type of diet, that's going to give the kind of food and environment that certain bacteria are going to thrive in and other bacteria are not going to do well in. So we know that diet, so several papers have looked at how diet affects your microbiome, and we know that diet affects your is probably the most important thing in affecting your diet. And the thing that's probably the single most important factor is diversity of dietary fiber. So if and the only thing that has fiber is plants. Plants have fiber, and non-plant food does not have fiber. There's soluble, insoluble fiber. So taking like Metamucil doesn't cut it because that's just like one kind of fiber. You need a wide variety of fiber to give a kind of a rich ecological environment for the microbacterium to grow in. Um, so let's see here. You know, a review. This is another good. So I'm going to link these two papers as a there's a long review article in Nature about the pros and cons and many unknowns of probiotics. Basically, the bottom line of this is that it is known to be helpful in people that have derangements of their microbiome, but in healthy people, it's unclear what the how helpful it is. And this is the same response that they came to. See, however, this review failed to support the ability of probiotics that cause persistent change in gut microbiome or improve lipid profile in healthy people. And then also, what we know is that your gut microbiome is pretty resistant to change. It's because of outside intervention. So taking a bunch, 5 billion colony forming units of these lactobacilli bifidobacterium in these probiotics, it will temporarily change it, but it's very transient. It will change it for maybe a few hours, maybe a day or two. Um, and then it just goes back to its normal flora. There's no long-term change with these probiotics because, again, the thing that affects it is your diet. Think of it this way. It's like if you have a garden and it's really, really dry and it doesn't have the right nutrients for the plant you want to grow and you throw seeds on it. I mean, the seeds may grow for a little bit, but it's not going to survive. You have to give it the environment that the plants you want to grow will thrive in. If you don't give it the right food and the right environment, it just, no matter how many seeds you throw out there, it's just not going to survive. And like we said at the beginning, we don't even know what constitutes a healthy microbiome. It's probably a little different for each person. And most of the constituents of the microbiome are either bacteria that we don't even know what they are yet. We have not characterized them. We have not studied them. We have not named them. They are unknown to us. We just know their genomic signatures are in there, and we recognize these genomic signatures, and we're like, this is a genomic signature that we have never seen before, and we don't know what it is. It does not associate with any known species of bacteria that we know. And two, most of them, we can't grow it. They only grow in our gut. They don't grow anywhere else. We cannot grow them in a vat. We cannot grow them in a lab. And therefore, if you can't grow them in a lab, you cannot get their spores and put them into a capsule to be sold to you as a probiotic. So basically, the bottom line is if you want a healthy microbiome, and a healthy microbiome is very important for your health, then what you need to do is eat the kind of food that feeds a healthy microbiome. And the kind of food that feeds a healthy microbiome is a wide variety of dietary fiber. And so if you look at our other studies, saw other videos on this channel about taking supplements and stuff, you'll notice that the kinds of food that these supplements, things like quercetin, N-acetylcysteine, all the phytonutrients, the things that they're in is plants. There's you just have to eat a lot of vegetables and a lot of seeds, and a lot of nuts. And that's what's going to increase your microbiome, and that's what's going to give you all the micronutrients and phytochemicals, many of which we probably haven't even characterized yet. And number two, the thing that you need to avoid is antibiotics. Antibiotics are major disruptors of gut microbiota because that's what they do. They kill bacteria. And there are many studies that show that, especially in children, if you give antibiotics to children early on, it does disrupt their microbiome and can have lifelong effects on their microbiome and the development of the interface between the immune system, the microbiome, and the brain. So antibiotics are something to be avoided. I took antibiotics just once in my life because I had a really bad sinus infection. I probably should have just, you know, gutted it out and let it run its course. But I did take it once. But, you know, after I've been reading about this, I avoid antibiotics. Like antibiotics are a wonderful thing, and they are a life-saving medicine. But there are the times when you should use it, like when people are septic and very, very sick. But antibiotics are given out like candy in modern medicine these days. People get even viral diseases like a cold or something, and people give them antibiotics. So antibiotics are grossly overused in medicine. And if you want a healthy microbiome, you should avoid antibiotics as much as possible. I personally would not take antibiotics for myself unless it was I was critically sick. And then when you're critically sick, then yes, you should absolutely take antibiotics. But you know, if you just have like a minor sinus infection or something like that, then topical antibiotics for like topical infections. But I would not take a pill, systemic antibiotics, unless it was a very critical illness. So mainly have a large amount of dietary fiber, eat lots of vegetables, fruits, nuts, seeds, and beans, and avoid antibiotics. That's basically a better way to change your microbiome than to take probiotics. And this concept, if you want to look it up, is called kind of they call it prebiotics. So basically, you make the garden, you make the environment conducive to the thing you want to grow, and the thing you want to grow will naturally grow there. Instead of just ignoring the environment and just dumping a bunch of seeds that you think are helpful. That's what probiotics are. And that's a very temporary thing, and it does not fix the underlying issue. And you need to fix the underlying issue and make the environment good for the good bacteria. All right, so I hope that's helpful. Probiotics are helpful in certain situations. It's probably a waste of your money, just like most supplements are, unless you're deficient or have some issues. If you have a deficiency, then you know vitamin supplementation is helpful. But if you just are you taking vitamins and supplements just to try to make yourself healthy, a much better way to do that, and a much more effective way to do that is to improve your diet and your lifestyle. And the same thing can be said with probiotics. Um, and probably to an even greater extent because we know even less about how the microbiome works. So eating a healthy diet is going to improve your microbiome like better than anything else, and also avoiding antibiotics. All right, so if you have any questions, comments, then please comment below. Thanks for watching.